For centuries, China has been an endless source of fascination and confusion for the West. Today, China's 1.3 billion people account for 1/5 of the world's population, but much of the real China still remains a mystery. Over the next hour, we're going to embark on a journey of discovery and find out why China is destined to emerge as the world's largest economic superpower, and how this will change the lives of all Americans.
Not only will they pass us, they will swamp us. It's going to be just night and day. The world is changing drastically. Would not be surprised at some point in my child's future that China's GDP is double that of the United States.
I've spent the past 20 years gaining the unique access to the entrepreneurs, academics, and government officials who are deeply involved in the transformation of this once sleeping giant.
Relationship building is very important. Doing business in China is much like doing business in the U.S. in the 1950s.
We'll also trace the path of a group of average Americans as they experience the hidden China, many for the first time.
My first trip to China dates back to about 1978. Between then and now, it's like night and day. It's like Rip Van Winkle falling asleep for 20 years and waking up. It's a completely different environment. Things have changed. I dare say a New Yorker from the Big Apple would probably find no difference landing in one of the coastal cities in China.
We'll confront the myths that surround China as we explore the mainland, Hong Kong, and Macau to find out where China is coming from and where it's headed. Today's Shanghai, the financial capital of China, boasts skyscrapers as far as the eye can see. China's achievements are proof to the Chinese people and to the entire world that this ancient culture has been reborn as one of the world's great economic powers.
If you had made these predictions that this was what was going to happen to China, people would have thought you're a little touched, if not altogether certifiable.
We cannot ignore China. China's too big, population's too great.
I mean, you got 50 million people over here who want something good and don't have it yet, but they're working at it.
Even today, as China's $10 trillion economy grows in the double digits, much of the West still views China as the underdeveloped, struggling nation of 50 years ago. This is Repulse Bay. It's named after the famous British colonial warship that once fought a series of pitched battles against the pirates that inhabited the islands that surround this bay. At that time, this place was a symbol of British military power. But today, as home of some of the most expensive real estate on earth, it's a symbol of Hong Kong's seemingly endless economic power.
It's going to be 20 years of growth. I think the demographics are different in the U.S. It's a younger generation growing up as well, so it'll be different kinds of investing opportunity here versus the United States.
I'm well diversified in my investments, but I have nothing in China. And with China being the future, the economy of the world, I think I have to learn a little more and make some investments.
Behind me is the port of Shenzhen. 30 years ago, this was a sleepy fishing village with less than 100,000 in population. Today, this city boasts a population of over 11 million, and it's the 4th largest container terminal in the entire world. The containers you see behind me represent goods and services from China, but they also represent something much more. Each one of these containers is a reminder of the America's middle class and the products we used to produce.
I'm amazed at how a society can build that city in only 20 years. To me, that's just absolutely mind-boggling. And it's still going on, and it's still building.
China's economic growth is unique. Never has the world witnessed such an expansion in such a short period of time. From agrarian society to economic powerhouse in a matter of decades.
What has happened in China is simply revolutionary. That China has brought more people out of poverty quicker than in any time in the history of mankind.
Yeah, they were essentially at a subsistence level for most of the country. And to go now where not everybody, but certainly a relatively large fraction of the population is demonstrably middle class and living with amenities that Americans are familiar with. I mean, that's truly a remarkable experience.
If I look at China, I think of China, what the United States went through in the early 1950s in a major expansion and the boom. And there's no doubt, I mean, everything I've read, that China is going to surpass the economy of any other nation within the next 2 to 4 years. And I just think if a person wants to be where the best return is on their investment, you got to go where the modernization is happening right now.
Frank Zhang is part of a new entrepreneurial class that forms the lifeblood of the Chinese economic miracle. His company, China Direct, invests in startups. This magnesium plant in central China is changing the way cars are made around the world.
If we use the light magnesium metals to making car, that to say we can to save a lot of coal gas and also gasoline.
Right.
So the car can run so fast and a very low cost.
As China prepares for the Beijing Olympics, remnants of its past remind us just how far the Middle Kingdom has advanced.
The story is well known. Over 1,000 years ago, this wall was constructed in a defensive effort to keep invading foreigners at bay. However, today's China cannot attract enough foreign investment. With over 50% of the economy based on international trade, China works closely with every nation on earth.
China is the powerhouse of economic growth right now at this time. And I think it's pretty obvious given just the size of the population and what we see happening today with commodity prices is definitely a symptom of just how much growth is going on.
With growth averaging about 10% a year, it's easy to see how China's economy will surpass America's in just a few years. They say in China it takes many single drops of water to create an ocean. With over 20% of the world's population, China's greatest natural resource is, quite frankly, its people. For America, the choice is clear. We can either fight against this tide or ride this wave to new prosperity.